Welcome to Filmy Ladies, and today's episode is Home for the Holidays because Christmas and New Year's are upon us, whether we like it or not. And in the case of our two films, we have some people who would maybe rather not or have mixed feelings about getting together with their family or not. We are looking at Agantuk by Satyajit Ray from 1960, nope, 80, 90,
91.
91. Pitu told me before we hit record, and I flew out of my head. 1991, Ray's last feature film. I can't wait to talk about this. I have seen it, but it's been a while, so Pitu will be leading this one up. And then I rewatched Kapoor and Sons from 2016. This film is almost 10 years old, which is also shocking to me, which I had not seen again since it came out, I don't believe. And it was kind of interesting to take a look at it and see how it has held up. And Pitu, you have seen that, I assume.
Yes, but only once, and when it came out. So there's a lot that I'm
Yeah.
foggy about memory wise.
So this idea for an episode came from Pitu, and I just want to know, like, what were your thoughts kind of going into this about what would make this a good topic for us to discuss?
Two things. Number one, Christmas is upon us, and therefore Christmas music is upon us. And
Yes.
I hate a lot of Christmas music because I'm just a Grinch that way. But there is one Christmas song I really, really love, which is "I'll Be Home for Christmas." I
Um,
love the Frank Sinatra version. There is also a Michael Bublé version for the younger people, but I like the oldies more.
yeah.
There's a Bing Crosby version.
Oh yeah.
It's such a beautiful song, and I just love the idea of like someone going home for the holidays. But also, I was reading a really interesting essay, like a personal essay, and there was a line in it that really stuck with me. So the
Hmm.
line was, it's so good, and I'm paraphrasing a little, but it said something like, I forget 10 years of therapy in the first 10 minutes of entering my childhood home. And I thought that was so brilliant because I think all of us have experienced that, where it's like
Yeah.
we become almost like an adolescent version of ourselves,
Yeah.
or like some sort of like weird time warp thing that happens when we're in our childhood homes, or those same old triggers come out, or like your mom says something to you and you get really upset with her, and it's just like it's bittersweet. And for me, like as a person who has lived in America for 20 plus years now, and when I go to India, I'm always like going home for the holidays, or
Yeah.
I'm India because there's like a wedding or something. And it's just, on the one hand, I'm so excited to be going back home, but on the other hand, like by the end of week one, I'm annoyed and grumpy and I'm fighting with everybody.
Grumpy Camel.
I am grumpy camel. So we just thought it would be fun to look at movies where people like go home for the holidays, and it's like just all the stuff that comes up with that, all the baggage.
Yeah. I suspect that families reuniting for various reasons is a almost universal human thing, if not fully universal.
Yeah.
And for the amount of time mainstream Hindi cinema in particular spends yapping on about the importance of families, this aspect is a little less spoken
Yeah.
about. I think that's fun. Now, granted, both of our films are not mainstream Hindi films, but
Mhm.
we have one that is and one very much not, and something else. But yeah, in looking at uh, everyone,
It's messy.
the surface message is always like, "Oh, it's so good," and almost everyone's reality at some time or the other is this not so good.
Yeah. And also, I recently like have watched, well, one super recently and one not so recently, two movies where people were talking about those messy things that happen when you're back with your parents and stuff. Like in the Vidya Balan episode, I was talking about Do Do Pyar, where she goes to Uri. Of course, that's not like for the holidays. Vidya Balan and Pratik Gandhi go to like her childhood home or whatever because her grandfather has passed away.
Mhm.
But again, all that tension comes, and like she and her dad are fighting and stuff. And then I had also, I can't remember, I think it was like a catching up episode where I talk about the Mehta Boys,
Oh yeah.
which was Baman Irani's directorial debut, and he was with Avinash Tiwari, an actor I like very much. And that also was not like, he's not going home for the holidays, but it was again like these two men, father and son. Oh, I think it was my Father's Day contribution,
Mm.
where it's about how they're together. So at least in the last 6 months or so, I've seen at least two movies that stayed with me that talked about that messiness, where it wasn't just like Ma is God, let us put Ma on a pedestal, where it was just more real and relatable.
Yeah. So let's talk about Your film, could you do a brief plot summary? Because I don't know if everyone listening will have seen it and, like
Yeah.
they saw it years ago and don't recall. So tell us what it's about.
So Agantuk means the guest, and it is a Bengali language film. It is Satyajit Ray's last film, and the movie really rests on Utpal Dutt's shoulders, which he has very broad, very talented shoulders. So why not?
And let me
And
just interject here. If you've only seen Utpal Dutt and his kind of Hindi 70s and 80s stuff, those are great, but like check him out in his Bengali stuff because he is
yeah,
on his own level of amazingness.
also of the personality. We don't talk enough about Utpal Dutt's personality. We don't talk enough about his voice. We don't talk about his riz. One of our subscribers Well, one of our subscribers had recently asked me in the comments, and they said that of all like the actors, who are the people that you think has a lot of like riz or whatever? And I was like, we were talking about Devana and then Shah
Yeah,
Rukh Khan and everything, and I was like, Kapoor
funny.
Banda, no one talks about him, but that man has BDE, but also Utpal Dutt. What a personality,
Yeah.
like people just talk about like Amitabh Bachchan, Shah Rukh Khan, whatever. But I'm like, look at this man. Also, I will always think of Utpal Dutt as Dhurandhar Bhattavadekar because that is his name in one of the Hindi Rishikesh Mukherjee movies, and it's
Uh,
such a weighty name for him.
yeah.
It's so ideal.
Yeah.
He's not a Sachin; he's a Dhurandhar Bhattavadekar. I love that. So anyway, so Agantuk, it's a very short film. It is literally 1 hour and 37 minutes. It's very fast paced. I would also say that if people are scared of watching Satyajit Ray's movies for whatever reason, which I understand, like, because like I'm scared of watching Kurosawa, for example, I'm scared of watching Wong Kar-wai. There's directors that I feel like their world is so different that I'm scared of entering their world. So I get it if people are scared of watching Ray. But
Mm.
I would say while Agantuk is not his greatest movie ever, um, I mean, it's not even in the top five of Ray's films. It
No.
is actually that is precisely what makes it so watchable and easy. Because this movie is not what I would call life changing or magnificent, but it's a very cute little slice of life kind of a movie. What I would call it is it's kind of like an elevated and more intelligent Rishikesh Mukherjee or say Paranjpe or Basu Bhattacharya movie. So it's like take that template and just make it a little bit more intelligent, a little bit more subtext and stuff like that. But it's not hard to get into. It's very relatable. It's set in 1991 in Calcutta, and the only characters in this movie are Utpal Dutt's niece, who is a stay at home mom, her husband, who is an executive, like a corporate executive, their little boy, Satyaki, who is extremely adorable, but like not in an annoying way, like actually adorable, and Utpal Dutt himself, and like one or two guests that come to their house. So it's a very small cast. Um, and so the idea is that one day, this happily married couple with their little boy, the mom receives a letter from Australia, and the letter basically says that her choto mama, her mother's youngest brother, who left home 34 years ago to travel the world, is wanting to visit Calcutta around like Durga Puja time, and she is his only living relative in the
Mm.
city birth, and he would love to visit her and he would love to stay with her, and he understands that it's an imposition, and she probably doesn't remember him because she was so little when he left, but he would really like to visit her and her family if that's possible. um, and then she and her husband are both like, is this person even like a real uncle? Like, how do we even know he's your uncle? Like, he could just be some like rando. And she's like, well, we can't just say don't come. Let's come and like suss him out. Like, we'll see, like we'll play it by ear, right? Like we can't just be like don't come. So they're like fine. And so then he shows up at their house. I wouldn't say unannounced because they know, but he shows up and he has all of these tall tales he's telling them, and he's talking about how he went to Machu Picchu and all his travels. At one point he refers to himself as an anthropologist, which is a little sus because okay. He's talking about all the world travels he's done. He has all these like, he's that interesting uncle that
Yes.
everyone has. My mom's cousin was like this. I remember him. He's an uncle that I only met twice in my life. It was my mom's first cousin. He was in the Merchant Navy because he failed the fitness exam for the Indian Navy. So he's like, fine, whatever, I'll join the Merchant Navy. And he visited us in Nigeria once because his Merchant Navy ship was docked in Lagos. And he was the
Exactly like this movie.
yeah, basically. And he was like sunburned and he was all red. And he would tell me stories about how his first week in the Merchant Navy, they would rag him by making him drink seawater until he puked. And I was like, I
Oh,
have no idea who you are, but you are very entertaining. Um, and so it's kind of like that. So like I was very like gobsmacked by that uncle of mine. The little boy in this movie, Satyaki, is just entranced with this uncle. Like Paldat is giving him like, coins from different countries that he's been to. He's counting them out. He's like, this is a guinea, this is a this is
oh
a
yeah.
that. And like he's like, oh, they're wonderful. And he's like, you can show them to your friends. And he's like, they're for me. And he's like, yeah, they're for you. Take them. What am I going to do with them? They were just lying around in my suitcase. So then the couple, the niece and her husband, they invite people over to come to like meet the uncle and to like ask him some questions. Like there's a friend who's an attorney who asks some very, in my opinion, rude questions. Like I was like, that is not how you talk to an elderly person. But all these like pointed conversations where they're trying to figure out, is he really who he says he is? And so it's a very interesting movie. I don't want to spoil the ending for anyone. It's not exactly like some thriller mystery movie, but it's just a very interesting movie because it talks about like what is even family, who is family. For example, we have people in our lives that maybe they're not technically our family members, but they feel like family. Like my maternal grandmother's neighbor, who was her neighbor for 50 years, 50 years. And to me, she's like my grandma because she was my grandma's best friend. And my mom ties her son a Rakhi every year. So to me, that's family, even though we're not related by blood. But then we also have people like that interesting seafarer uncle of mine that despite being actual blood, I've only met twice in his life, and he's long dead, so I will never meet him again. It's just an interesting movie that asks questions about what is family, what does family mean, what does hospitality mean. For example, he makes a few pointed criticisms of the city of Calcutta, and you can see everyone else being like a little bit prickly about it. But he
Yeah.
is someone who chose to leave. If people are completely happy with what they're living, they don't leave. But also, he's not doing it from a place of like meanness, but he's kind of, and there's a scene in this movie where he tells the little boy Satyaki about being a frog in a well. And I was interested to see that the same word that exists in Marathi also exists in
Mm.
Bengali, which is kupa manduk, which literally kupa is well and manduk is frog, so frog in a well. And he basically tells him people spend their whole life being a frog in a well and they think this is it. It's cold, it's damp, it's gross, there's algae, and you think this is the world. It's not, though. And he says, promise me you will not grow up to be that person. And so it's also interesting to have this. He's kind of like this breath of fresh air that just comes into their life and doesn't quite upend their life, but has them asking interesting questions. And you can see the impact he has on that little boy.
Yeah.
So it's a very sweet movie. It's a very gentle movie, like Ray's movies often are. Um, Somewhat prickly ideas are expressed, but not in a super aggressive or mean way, but just like in a gentle bit of like a little poke, a little dig here and there.
Yeah.
um but it's beautifully done, and I really don't think that this movie would work if they hadn't cast Utpal Dutt. He really does carry the whole thing on his shoulders. The rest of the people in the movie, the niece and the nephew, the niece's husband and the little boy, they act perfectly well. I'm not saying they're bad, but you had to get the casting of the
Yeah.
uncle right. Choto Mama has to be perfect. So it's just a very sweet movie that asks you questions about family. It's a little bit bittersweet. This is the only time you will meet this uncle, and he's an old man, so we don't know if you will ever see him again. Presumably not. And I teared up a little when I was watching this movie.
Oh,
Yeah, just a little, because it's not
yeah.
schmaltzy. But I was like, I'm never gonna see this man again. They're never gonna see him again. And so it was sweet. Um, but again, I would say that if anyone is nervous about getting into race cinema, this is a good one to start with. It's not his greatest, but it's like a good entry level. And then slowly you can build up to like Nayak and Bhanagar and Charulata and Aranyet Din Ratri and all of those great films. And then, of course, end with Apur Sansar and Devi, which are the two movies that make me cry.
You can just not watch Shaka Proshaka. That movie's terrible.
I have never
The
seen
one.
it.
It's the one right before this. I got mixed up. So when you said you were going to watch this, I was like, oh, but it was
Oh.
I had the wrong movie. But that is a really bad movie.
I've
Like,
literally never seen it, but I'm almost curious to see it because I'm like, how bad can a Ray movie be?
well, and it's his last with Sumitra Chatterjee, so that's kind of
Mhm.
sad. You're like, oh, this was the end of this amazing collaborative, this amazing artistic relationship, and you're like, wah, wah. But they can't all be hits. So
Yeah. Okay. It reminds me a little bit of the Coppola turkey that came out, that Megalopolis, for which
yeah.
he's been selling. He sold his winery in Napa. He owns an entire building, like a corporate office building in San Francisco. That's for sale. He's selling his watches for this absolute turkey. So I low-key want to watch Megalopolis, to be honest.
I can see why I'm not with you on that, but I understand the impetus.
Yeah.
Every now and again, right? There'll be something that everyone hates, and then you're like, I actually find this really speaks to me. Like when I brought Bombay Velvet to our podcast, for example, like everyone hated that, but I'm like, I this movie. So
I mean, like I always say, I never judge people's movie choices because I am that person who has watched Jab Tak Hai Jaan multiple times willingly.
even though you don't like
Willingly.
it.
I like it. I think it's absolute dreck,
Oh, I
but I
see.
like it.
Okay.
I know Jab Tak Hai Jaan is an absolutely atrocious film. I will never deny that. But something about moody, pensive, morose, melancholic Shah Rukh Khan in a tank top and camo, girl, that's my
That's enough.
catnip. It makes me happy. Sad Shah Rukh makes me happy. I don't know what that says about me. Okay, why did you pick Kapoor and Sons for this movie?
It was
For
the
this
first
episode?
one that came to mind for this theme for me, and I did think I would enjoy rewatching it. Rishi Kapoor is one of the lesser patron saints of this podcast, obviously, so it's always good to bring him back. We haven't talked about him maybe in a year or so, so that's about time. Um, I do think revisiting some of these more recent things is interesting. Like enough time has passed that I feel I can look at it a little more objectively, maybe. But in my memory, this was a huge thing. And like when you look at the
Yeah,
Wikipedia entry, it got all these awards and nominations. And I was,
it's very well loved.
yeah, curious to see if it would hold up. I don't feel like I hear about people talking about it hear people talking about it
Yeah.
anymore, but so that could just be whatever bubble I happen to be in and everything. And I'm not on Reddit, for example. Um, so I did want to look at it again. I also often really like Siddharth Malhotra, which I know is a somewhat unusual opinion, I think. And I haven't seen all of his films, and I don't go for the big action ones or whatever. But there are several films where I think he's really good and very enjoyable. This is one
Yeah.
of them.
Well, you and I both like Hasi To Fasi,
Right.
and I feel like we're the only people who like it.
That's the other there are three on my list. That's another one. And then the other one for me is A Gentleman, which I think is so fun.
The
So
one with Jacqueline.
yeah, they make a good pair. Um, and of course, Fawad Khan, Rajat Kapoor,
I
you
mean,
know, what's not to,
Alia Bhatt is like the weakest of the lot in this cast.
she really, really is. And I don't think she's awful, but she is the weakest. But you're up against, Ratna Pathak
Yeah.
Shah. Like, what are you gonna do? Um, Alia is also a little bit of a manic pixie dream girl-ish character, so that's not good.
Yeah.
So I think it's more the writing rather than her performance particularly that hasn't worked well for me in this, but she's not bringing anything particular to this, I don't think. But whatever. Anyway, so the if you haven't seen this film, the plot is there is a family in where are they? Uti? No, Kunur, sorry, Kunur.
Yeah. It looks
And
very chilly.
yeah, there are two adult sons played by Fawad Khan and Siddharth Malhotra, and they come home because their grandfather is in the hospital. And their grandfather is Rishi Kapoor in at least half a ton of aging makeup. And I remember at the time people thinking that looked good. It does not, in retrospect, look good. I don't feel that those effects have aged very well. Also, now the math in this movie doesn't quite add up to me because he's supposed to be turning 90, but it's 2016, but then it's like since 1921, so he's like 85. It doesn't really matter unless the movie is set further back than it was made, but I don't think they say that. Anyway, it doesn't matter. I Rishi Kapoor did not live to be as old as this character is, so it's not like we could compare fake aging with real aging, but it just it looks
We
very
did that with Kal Ho Na Ho.
right. This looks
because
very,
that entire
very,
movie is in flashback.
very, very fakey. And this character's so annoying that he has this like he's supposed to be, I think, kind of lovable scamp grandpa, but he's actually a jerk. And yeah, we let patriarchs get away with a lot, but this one, and then he, in his softer moments is like, I just want my family picture. And you're like, well, stop antagonizing everybody then, or whatever. So, and they come home and you quickly see that there are real tensions between everyone among all the different pairings in this family. So the two brothers don't get along very well for um, reasons I don't want to spoil. But one of that, Fawad Khan is a very successful author living in London. Siddharth is someone who is bounced around from job to job, is currently a bartender in New Jersey, wanting to be a writer, but apparently having a hard time with that. The parents don't get along. We learned that the dad has had an affair. We learn all sorts of things, and both the parents seem to vastly favor Fawad's character, and they are always kind of fussing at Siddharth, like, why can't you stick with anything? Why are you, you know, you're going to waste your life, blah, 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 blah. Both the brothers meet Alia through different channels, and she's back in Kunur to sell the family house because her parents died when she was a child, and she's just having kind of one last chunk of time in the house before she sells it. Um, and there are some important things that happen in this film, and it's one of those movies that I think gets better as it goes along, kind of as the drama ramps up and you learn more. I was much more engaged as it went along, even though I knew where it was going. I don't think the start is bumpy or anything like that. I just there's a lot of satisfaction to me in watching the different things come to the surface and you see why
Mm.
people are behaving the way they are. Um, Everyone in this movie is the four in the main family they're all really, really good. Watch it for those four, if nothing else. Rishi, you know,
Who are the mom and dad? Remind me.
Rajat Kapoor and Ratna Patak Shah.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, yeah,
I'd completely forgotten, but Ratna Patak, I mean, she's like amazing.
yeah,
Always.
yeah. And I will just say that as the reveal of various things, all these different reveals have different emotional impacts, and I think the film handles them really well. And eventually you find out something that she did in the past. And to me, that was the biggest, like, in the heart. Like, I cannot believe this character did what she did. And again, I won't spoil it, but it's really, it's really a doozy. Um, and I just felt this film still feels fresh to me,
Okay.
right? Like it's got some kind of filmy people in it, and there's drama, but it's treated sort of with a respect but a lightness. Like it's not mawkish, it's not saccharine, it's not schmoopy over these bad things. There are bad things that have happened in this family and that they don't communicate about or don't communicate well about. There are people who are really hurting. There are a lot of people who've been hurting in this family for a long time. And
Mm.
watching how they handle that feels, I don't want to compare this film to a Ray film exactly, but I feel that there's a humanity with which these characters are
Yeah.
treated, which is something you find in Ray's films all throughout, right? And this is really well done. And so I
Okay.
think really the only thing that has dated it for me, other than the aging makeup, is Alia's character feels a little bit out, like we wouldn't probably write that exactly in the same way now, although maybe we would because we like women to be sort of light and trivial and to help men change. So
Mhm. How did you find the age gap between Fawad and Alia and like Siddharth and Alia? Because she's always been someone who looks so much younger than her actual age.
uh,
And in 2016, she must have looked like an absolute baby.
she does kind of. I think the whole manic pixie-ish kind of hides that a little bit because the character is so, I mean, like she's whimsical and she's always trying to joke with people, and she's not whimsical in a like ridiculous way, but you know, um she's a bit of a globetrotter. I forget where she's supposed to be living. I don't think it's also London, but abroad somewhere. Or no, maybe Delhi or something. I don't know. Anyway, she's come, she doesn't really live in Kunur. So I think she's got this sort of like magical fairy who's sort of there providing people
Tinkerbell.
the opportunity to talk about certain things and stuff like that. But her, Yeah, her tendency to joke is a little annoying. Again, that's the character, it's not her. But then on the bright side, when she decides to be serious, it does have some weight behind
Mm,
it, which is nice. So when you see her being truthful and not just joking, it's pretty effective, I would say. But yeah, I wasn't struck by an age difference, honestly.
okay.
Um, maybe I wasn't paying attention to how old people were supposed to be, but yeah, it didn't particularly strike me.
One of the things I remember very distinctly when I watched Kapoor and Sons, which was ages ago, because I saw it only when it came out and I didn't rewatch it. Oh, and I wanted to get into like, I agree with you that this movie doesn't get talked about a lot. Although, anytime you ask people what they think of Kapoor and Sons, everyone always says wonderful things about it, right? I think, at least for me, the reason I've never rewatched it is because it's not a comfort watch.
No, it would be an
You know,
uncomfort watch,
yeah,
a
it's
discomfort watch.
it's prickly and dysfunctional, and so it's one of those movies where it's like you can love the movie and you can think it's so well done and all the acting in it is so good and the writing and the direction, everything is so effective and good, but also it's not necessarily something you want to keep watching over and over. Whereas there's other movies like, say, Queen, which
Yeah,
universally everybody loves, but that's like it's much more wholesome in a
yeah.
way. This one just feels it's a little too like jarring, I think, which makes it very effective, but it's not exactly a movie I feel like people want to keep watching. And so I think it does suffer from a little bit of that like rewatch factor.
Yeah, and I think the reveals in this are, if you know what's coming, maybe
Yeah.
that's really not as effective anymore. It was for me, I think maybe because it had been so long. And there was
Mhm.
one thing that I remembered definitely, and there were a few things that I remembered ish, but
Yeah.
kind of the way they're laid out and everything, I did not
Yeah.
remember. My dominant memory from this film is actually when the plumber is there and everybody's yelling at each other.
Yeah.
And the poor plumber is just trying to do his job. And anyway, um, yeah, it is not an easy film. I mean, this is not an upsetting film, but it's
Right.
also not. And I felt by the end, I felt some optimism for these people, but that they were going to have to work at it a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
But they should, because they've done things that hurt each other greatly. So if you want these people in your life in a meaningful way, you do have to do some work towards
Yeah.
that. That is just how life is.
I remember the other distinct thought I had like when I saw it. So I don't remember the thing about the parents vastly favoring Fawad's character over Siddharth Malhotra. That's just not a detail I remember, but it makes sense. Like in
Yeah.
an Indian context, if one kid is successful and the other one is like a bartender, you automatically know who's the golden child and who's the
Yeah.
black sheep. But I remember the one thing I thought when I saw this movie in the theater was I felt so bad for Siddharth Malhotra in all the scenes he had with Fawad Khan because Fawad ate him up. His acting, his screen presence, and it's not like Siddharth Malhotra was bad. I
Right.
don't remember watching this movie and thinking, man, Siddharth Malhotra can't act. He was fine. It's just Fawad was so much better. He
Mm.
does, if I remember correctly, he does also have the better role. He has a media role.
He
He
has
has,
the easier role in a way,
yeah,
right? Like being the golden boy is a little easier than being the like
the
the
loser or whatever.
Eeyore, yeah, a little bit. Maybe, but he does not phone it in, that's for sure. He really is doing an
He
amazing job
did.
with
I mean,
facial expressions and everything.
I literally remember feeling bad for Siddharth Malhotra because I was like, it doesn't matter how well you act, you're gonna be punching way above your weight
They
because
also both
Bob is just so good.
there are also big reveals about both these characters, but Fawad's reveal is more
Meaty.
shocking or
Yeah,
meaty or whatever. So again, he gets kind of in a way, he gets a little bit more to do. I posted a picture on Blue Sky of one of the scenes with Siddharth in it, and I was like, just kind of saying, I think he's really quite good in certain movies. And someone commented like, yeah, and especially when he's playing like an everyday guy,
yeah,
again, like Hasito Pasi, right, is an example of that. A Gentleman is not an example of that.
right.
The other ones are, but I would echo that. I think he can be
Yeah.
really, and I do think so. I did not notice that discrepancy that you're talking about. Like
Okay.
I think he held his own fairly well, but again, he is the kind of like hangdog. brother who seems a little bit like he's not happy being the failure, but he seems a little bit resigned that that's how people are going to see him no matter
Mm.
what he does. Um, and so he assumes no one wants to really listen to him. I think he assumes that they're not going to pay particular attention, or if they do, they're just going to find fault with it no matter what it actually
Yeah.
is. There's also a very cute dog in this movie.
Oh, really?
Forgotten. Yeah, they have a doggy. And both
Nice.
the boys, when they come home, are like thrilled to see the dog. And we all know how that is when you've been away and you want to see your
Yeah.
pet.
Does the dog also favor one brother over the other? That would be
Not
sad.
that I noticed. That would be sad, but no,
Yeah.
not that I noticed. Although there is a scene of Fawad reading where he's like curled up with the dog next to him, and it's very cute.
So cute. What is that saying? I don't care if people don't like you, but if a dog doesn't like you, we have a problem.
Right.
So then what is it about movies like this, like where, you know, do you think that when Siddharth Malhotra's character is in New Jersey and he's being a bartender and he's just living his life and maybe he has friends or a girlfriend, whatever. Do you think that Siddharth Malhotra, when he's out of the family home in Kunnur and doesn't have these people around him that maybe are not supportive of him, do you think that Siddharth Malhotra is much more well-adjusted and not Eeyore-ish or
I would like to think so. We only see like snippet, a tiny snippet of that life because all of it really is set in Kunur. You see him tending bar and he gets a phone call saying granddad's in the
Mm.
hospital. What's and it's Fawad calling him and saying like I'll buy your ticket, like that
Mhm.
right away you're like but um I'd like to think so. We don't see enough to say, but also being a bartender who's like friendly with the regulars and everything, that could take a lot of energy for someone who doesn't naturally kind of extrovert in that way or whatever.
Mhm.
So it is easy to imagine him kind of going home to probably a terrible apartment somewhere in the New York suburban area, and he's got four disgusting roommates, and like kind of like crouched on his bed trying to write his novel on a notebook or
Yeah.
with his janky old laptop or whatever. So I feel like we remember that guy from being like in our late 20s or early 30s, or people like, kind of in that basic, like trying to be a creative, having to do other stuff to make ends meet in a big
Mhm.
city that you could actually be a writer anywhere. It doesn't have to be in the suburbs of New York City. You could live somewhere cheaper, but never mind.
Yeah.
Also, how are you getting a work visa to be a bartender? I don't know. Doesn't matter. Um, so yeah, I don't know, but I think I can imagine
Mm.
him having a hard time always shrugging off the family pattern, like you were saying in the beginning, like you revert to this thing. And one of the reasons I think so many of us do revert, at least sometimes, is it's still in there.
Yeah.
It's not like, oh, I will put on this thing purposefully. It's like it's in there and it gets activated sometimes. So
Mhm. It's also because your family's words have so much more meaning than what your friends do, right? Like you can ask your friend, "How do I look in this outfit?" And 20 friends could tell you you look gorgeous, slay queen, and then your mom will say something like, "Well, you could stand to lose 10 pounds," and you're probably sobbing in a corner,
yeah.
right? Like the words mean more. The disapproval means more.
I do really like that Siddharth's character does push back a lot against his family.
Good.
And he kind of says, like, nothing I do will please you. Like, you always yell at me right away or whatever. And I really like that about him because you know, again, I think sort of mainstreamy Bollywoodish would be like, don't sass back to your parents, right? But
Yeah.
he does. And he's not, some people might consider it rude. To me, it doesn't seem rude. He's just saying, like, you always do this to me.
Yeah.
And he's
That's
right. Based on what we see, he's right. They do.
yeah. Interesting. What are some other family movies that you like? Like I know Kapoor and Sons was like an immediate, this is the movie I'm gonna do.
Yeah. Well,
Whereas I had to think about it a little bit.
in terms of them reuniting for some reason,
Mm.
I mean, there must be movies where like someone's going on a so like the someone's going to a place for a specific reason. It's not just a visit, but it's like
Yeah.
a death, a wedding, a this, a that, that kind of, there must be a million of those, but I couldn't, nothing was really popping to mind for me. And I liked this one because it has the three generations in it. And the and sons part is there's a Rajat Kapoor has a brother who's also, he and his family show up as well for Rishi Kapoor's birthday. It's also his birthday, his
Mm,
90th birthday. So they're coming for the party. So there are some cousins, an uncle and an aunt around a little bit. And they are not major characters, but they do sort of add to this texture of
mm.
what's happening. So
Yeah. I mean, Monsoon Wedding is probably, I
yeah,
mean, I
that
know
would have
we've
been a
done
great
an
one.
episode on
Yeah,
it, but like
yeah,
that's a classic of like
yeah.
people congregating for a reason, especially like the
And
Shafali Shah character.
if you think I'm watching Hum Aapke Hain Kaun again, I have got news for you. So that was out, but I'm sure there must be some other in that kind of template that I'm not thinking of, probably because I haven't watched them. But
Yeah.
the whole wedding video trend of
Yeah.
that kicked off. Maybe there would be some, but there must be a lot of these, and I'm just not
I just don't think that Bollywood does a lot of movies about family dysfunction though. Because like the whole point of doing these kind of movies is that you talk about the chinks in the family. And I just
right.
don't know that is I just feel like it's such a taboo. You're not allowed to talk about it. I was surprised when I was watching what is that movie that I watched in our travel episode where Irfan and Mithila Palkar
Oh yeah,
and
Karwan, right?
Karman, yes. In Karman, I was surprised where that one character basically said that they weren't close to their mom, and I was like, "Wow, you never hear that in a movie." And in her eulogy, she actually talks about how like she had her flaws, but she was a good mother. She loved me. We didn't always agree, and I was like, "Wow, when do you ever hear that?"
Yeah.
Because everything is always Ma sacrificed everything for me. Ma gave up so much for me, and it's just to hear someone when you come from a culture where your parents are put in such a gigantic pedestal that they can do absolutely no wrong, e- even a person saying something very nuanced and very fair, like they did the best they could, they were being parents for the first time as well. They did not have the resources and they did the best they could. It still wasn't enough. That sounds like an absolute slap in the face. It's
Right,
completely unacceptable. So,
right.
on a cinematic level, how do you show that in a film? That's hard
Yeah.
for every person like you and me who watches Kapoor and Sons and thinks, yeah, you shouldn't be bullying your son. You shouldn't be treating him in this way. And good for him to pushing back. There's going to be some WhatsApp uncle that watches this and says, this is the worst movie ever. And this movie encourages people
It's
to
today.
hit it today. And like these people just like don't respect the sacrifices their parents made. Right. So I just feel like there is a dearth for a reason.
The One of the interesting things about this is that this film is that the sacrifice angle comes from the dad, so from Rajat
Mhm.
Kapoor, and he's mostly screaming about it to his wife, not as much the kids, uh, about what he's done to try to keep this family financially afloat and stuff like that.
Mm,
It's pretty interesting.
interesting.
There's a lot of bitterness in the movie, which is an emotion I relate to, unfortunately. It's not a great thing to feel, but that's a place I find myself. I tend to go bitter instead of angry, interestingly, and it's not useful. It's not
I
great.
just get angry all the time. I'm like a volcano.
Yeah, you just get rid of it. Whereas bitter, we just like sit. Do not recommend. This family has some issues, and it's quite notable that both the kids have gone abroad, right? They can't.
Yeah.
That's as close as they can stand to be for various reasons, and you can see why.
Hmm. Interesting. Have you seen Two States?
I have. That's another one I would not choose to rewatch.
Yeah, but I like
Yeah.
Arjun Kapoor's scenes with Amrita Singh, whom I always love
Mhm.
Amrita Singh in
So
everything she does. The woman could do like a detergent commercial and I'd watch it for her.
good.
But, and also it's Ronit Roy, who's the dad, and he's like an alcoholic and he's so bitter and awful.
Yeah, he's
Man,
awful.
the scenes of like Arjun Kapoor and Ronit Roy and Amrita Singh are just like you can cut the tension with a knife. And it's so uncomfortable to watch.
Delhi Six would be another family members coming home, right? Doesn't Abhishek
Yes.
Bachchan come from abroad? I've never
Yeah.
rewatched that film, but I love the soundtrack of it so much. Genda Pool is one of my favorite songs, like
Yes.
ever,
And
basically.
Masakali. I love Masakali.
Yeah, yeah, that would be another interesting one to revisit.
Hmm. Interesting. Um, Devdas, actually,
Yes.
our beloved, our favorite Devdas, is also a returned from abroad student who also has all of the baggage at home.
Yeah, yeah. In terms of like a bunch of extended family members coming to, I mean, there must be like movies of people coming for funerals or coming for
Yeah.
big birthdays or
Mhm.
retirement. Like there must be some like 60s film where Prawn is retiring and so the sons have all come home to like see who gets what
Yeah,
from
for
the
sure.
business or someone's reading a will, right? And everyone has come home to see and then somebody gets bumped off obviously because Agatha Christie.
Mhm. Now we're going like the Agatha Christie route. I like, well, I mean, I like in K3G where basically Amitabh is just such a horrible father and he's kind of called out for being a horrible father, a horrible husband, so elitist, so awful. I like that. There's scenes where, I mean, Jaya Bachchan's character in that movie is just completely spineless, but I love how they stand up to him and they kind of call him out for his awfulness. I mean, not really. Like there's a limit to how much they're gonna get called out in a Karan Johar movie, but you know, it's a Karan Johar movie.
I I say as someone who, so Pitu and I are both famously only children. So our family systems are pretty different than what often gets depicted in movies. I think movies don't
Yes.
like only children very much.
Oh,
We are,
the Bollywood stereotype of only children who are girls is that we are very snobbish and rude, pesewalis, and we don't care about anyone.
and we were, as we were talking about some other discussion, like bad rich girl versus good rich girl, right?
Yeah, but we have the best fashions in the movies.
Sure. We
The
get some
only
cracks.
children, yes, we have great frocks and we have great boots and
Yeah.
we have a great attitude,
Yeah.
usually bad attitude, but
Yeah.
I think a bad attitude is a great attitude to have. It's the best accessory. So,
I think that the I mean, newsflash, a lot of people's families have a lot of problems. And the fact that so many cultures, I think mainstream US culture, where you and I both live, is also to blame for this. Like not letting families sort of vaulting families up above so many other things is
mhm.
not is destructive.
Yeah.
Because people need to be allowed to be more complex and more complicated than that. And, you know, every year you hear people like, I have to go home for Christmas. You don't have to. If
Yeah.
you don't, there will be consequences and you don't wish to deal with those consequences. That's I get it, but that's different. Like you do actually have agency
Yeah, or
in getting
Thanksgiving.
or Thanksgiving or whatever it may happen to be. And if if the cost is this high, like why are you doing it? And conflict avoidance obviously is a thing a lot of us deal with, and we would just rather suffer ourselves than push back against this thing. But like families are not necessarily a good thing at all. So I appreciate that even a few of these films exist. And then
Mhm.
in like the case of your film, to question what is a relationship and what does it mean to say that you are this distant thing, but you're a stranger. Right?
Yeah.
A lot of
Mhm.
families have strangers in them, and just because you are blood related or not or whatever, right, doesn't really mean anything.
Yeah, well, even things like boundaries, right? Like I
Right.
think like in general, like South Asian culture, Middle Eastern culture, Asian culture, like all of these cultures are well known for having basically no boundaries whatsoever. And that can sometimes create so many issues. But it's also interesting how you are a different person in different milieux, right? Like I am such a different friend from what I am as a cousin. Because although
Sure.
I am an only child, I was raised with my
Yeah.
cousins, and I'm the oldest grandchild. Something I have very
Yeah.
much have eldest daughter syndrome. And it's interesting, like with my friends, I'm chill, I'm easygoing, I'm mellow, I'm enthusiastic and cheerful. With my cousins, I definitely go into like Didi mode. So I'm taking charge. I'm the leader. I'm the proxy for the parent. I am, I'm making sure everyone gets out the door and everyone's outfit is pressed for the wedding. And, I'm bossy.
Ah,
And I am not like that with my friends. With my friends, I'm very like hands off. But with my cousins, it's that conditioning. I immediately, but they also defer to me.
mm,
Like anytime a hard conversation needs to happen, they'll come to me. And like my cousin is 32 years old. He's not a baby, but he will come
no.
up to me and he'll say, I need to say this to my dad. I'm nervous. Will you talk on my behalf? And I'm like, okay, I'll do it.
Wow.
So it's like, it's weird. I become a proxy for the parents and I become like a go between where I have some authority, I have some parental authority, but also don't. But I also try to keep my cousins out of trouble where I know they're going to get in trouble. I will just tell them, if you do this, you're going to get into trouble. So listen to me, don't do it, and I'll cover for you. So I'm
Wow.
both more annoying and bossy and controlling, but I'm also very giving and kind and supportive. And I'm none of those things with my friends. I'm so much more hands off with my friends, but I hang out with my cousins and it's like this switch gets flipped and everyone falls into like their birth order. It's wackadoo. Like the baby of the family reverts to baby, and I'm the oldest, and I go into Didi mode, and everyone falls in line. It's really quite astounding to see. I'm always amazed by that. So, yeah, fun times, entertaining times. Okay, well, name one family in a Bollywood movie or in a Bengali movie that you would actually enjoy being a part of,
Oh,
and then we will close out this episode.
oh, do you have one handy? Because if you do, you
Yes,
should go
I know which family I want to belong to.
tell me.
I want to belong to Shami Kapoor's ragtag group of orphans from Brahmachari because my
You have
dream
mentioned that one.
is to
Yeah.
be in the Jeep with him, driving around Marine Drive with a little collie dog.
You don't want
And
to be
all
an
of a sudden,
apnea?
what?
You don't want to be an apnea?
I do want to be in Apne. I want to be in the boxing ring with Dharam and Sunny. But that's like I have to train for it because
You
we're all
could,
boxers.
you could ring the bell.
I'll ring the bell.
You can do the round sign and then you can
I'll,
ring the bell.
I'll wipe them off when there's like blood. I'll
Right,
like wipe their sweat and
right.
then take them to the emergency room if they have to. But, like once a year, I'll be part of the Apne family. I'll be a Deol. And then 364 days of the year, I'll be in the Jeep going la 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 with Shami and the kids.
I cannot think of a Bollywood film or any film family that I want to be a part of, I have to say.
Okay.
Oh, that's a really, really hard one. Like, what do you want to do? Be the third under Nirupa Roy in Diwar? Like, no,
No,
absolutely not.
no. That sounds
Um,
terrifying.
I don't know. Do you want to be a kid in Waqt who's been like thrown away by an earthquake? Do you?
You could be the third sister in Sharmili.
Oh, like a younger sister who's like kind of watching with popcorn?
Yes. So you're not the one Rocky and you're not the other Rocky. You can be the
No.
third Rocky who's actually like fully normal.
There's gonna be fallout from that movie though, from those sisters. Oh wow. This is a
You
hard
can
one.
be you can be Ranbir Kapoor's nice sister in Kala Jarkal. And you can stay out of the
Okay,
drama,
okay.
right? So
Haven't
like
seen it yet,
Prithviraj Kapoor
but I
is yelling, Raj Kapoor is yelling, Ranbir Kapoor is yelling. And again, your role in all of these family dramas is to sit on the couch with a kitty cat eating popcorn.
right. Right. It's like being that cousin in Dilda Lucknado who's like the like 12-year-old girl or whatever, and she's like,
Yeah. And then occasionally when you're bored, you can just text me and be like, Pitu, are you and Shami and the kids and the dog going out for a drive around
Right.
Marine Drive? And I'd be like, yes, you want to come? And then you can sit in the Jeep with us
Oh
and put
yeah,
the coffee dog on your lap.
that'd
So
be fun. That'd be fun.
yeah, and then occasionally when I'm hungry, because like we live in an orphanage, so we have no money.
Right.
Shami Kapoor has to sell photographs and get money, and then we get fed. When we're really hungry, I'll bring the ragtag group of orphans and the collie dog and Shami, and we'll all come to your house
Yeah,
in
yeah.
Kalangakal and just feed us all the things.
Yeah.
You're Kapoor, you can afford it.
Yeah, and the parents are clearly not paying any attention whatsoever. So I'll
We'll just
yeah,
come and you can
just
feed us.
first feed at the
We'll be like friends with benefits, but like in a platonic way,
nice,
in a taking care of each other way.
nice. You know, I'm gonna be thinking about this at like 2 in the morning. I'm gonna wake up and be like, I know what film family I want to be a part of.
Well, if you do, just write it in the
Okay.
comments and
Okay.
like
Hopefully something
edit
comes.
our caption and be like, this is my family.
Maybe I would be another sister in Aina and I could just sort of again watch with popcorn.
Why is your role in all of these families to be the one that stays out of drama?
Because so on my dad's side of the family, I am the third only child in a row. So there's no cousins or anything on my dad's side of the family. My mom is one of six, and there are cousins on that side, but I saw them like a couple days a year because we lived in Illinois, they live in Virginia, so like I never saw them growing up. But when they would all get together, if we were there was so much happening, and they all saw each other much more often. So I did kind of feel it wasn't on purpose. No one's like excluding me, but like I often felt after a little while, I'd be like, I need a little breather from whatever's happening here because I'm not used to this many people interacting in this way. And like I had groups of friends as even as a little kid, like the kids on my street all played together. So it wasn't the just like the number of people, but there was something about their systems that I wasn't really a part of because I wasn't around. And my dad and I would also like we'd go sit on the porch of the house for a few minutes and just be like, take a little breather.
A little time out for
Yeah,
your
and
nervous system.
I don't even think of myself as an introvert or anything. It was just like this is kind of a lot, and I don't understand what's happening all the time. So that was I do feel like that was kind of my role as a in that
Nice.
extended family. So
Nice. I feel like my role was always to be part of the hijinks.
it's
Like
not
I
well,
was
yeah, no,
usually
thank
the
you.
person creating the chaos.
Right. Or keeping everyone in line. Like you are the eldest Von Trapp, keeping every with a whistle,
Yeah.
like them all in line.
Yeah. Or like I was Dina Pathak from Khubsurat.
Right. That's quite a thing.
Yeah. Well, that's an interesting one too, right? Like Rekha goes to her older
Yeah.
sister's marital home and then
Yeah.
like upends everything in there as well. And everyone ends up like loving her and like adoring her. And she ends up like forming a coup. You have found your
Maybe
family.
maybe I want to be a third sister in Parvarish with Neetu and Shabana, and I also can be an avenging pickpocket.
I think I've
I would be the
always thought of
worst
you.
pickpocket. I'm very conspicuous,
Wait, I was
but
just gonna say, I've always thought you would be a very talented pickpocket.
really, I don't think anyone would suspect me, but I also would be conspicuous, which might kind of I could be the distraction over here while they're doing something over there or whatever.
And you could wear bell bottoms, and
Yeah.
you could be in the Power to the People song.
Yeah. And even if I'm just kind of playing percussion or something on the side, or
Yeah.
I'm doing backup singing, I would love that.
And if I'm not mistaken, their Power to the People song, where they're just like going along like that, that is near Marine Drive. So we
Yeah.
could like you could like hitchhike with us and get in our Jeep and
And like
stuff.
get some bell-bottom jeans and a gingham shirt and put pigtails and then like do it.
Yeah.
It sounds fun.
Okay. You're the sister from Parvarish. I'm part of the ragtag group of orphans.
My parents were murdered, but it's okay.
I don't know where my parents were because in Brahmachari, people leave babies in like a little cot outside the orphanage.
Oh
So
no.
I was probably like dropped off because I cried too much or something. We know I enjoy crying. So how dire, how absolutely dire. Anyway, on that very non-cheerful note, we're gonna close out this episode. We hope you have a very very merry Christmas and you enjoy the cold in if you're in the US or in Europe, and the non-cold if you are in India, because it's always warm, at least where I'm from. And please tell us what your favorite family movies are, what your favorite home for the holidays movies are. If there's a Christmas song you really like, then please tell me what it is. And if you have seen either Kapoor and Sons or Agantuk, please tell us what your thoughts are. And also tell us which filmy family you want to be a part of. And then we will be sure to send you our Filmi Ladies Christmas cards. Thank you for watching, and we will see you next week.